So the current market as it is, on average, we've found that candidates are in process for 3 roles at any one time. So that's not just applying, that's in the interview process at some stage for 3 roles at any given time. The needs of the candidate have changed dramatically since the pandemic. There are other factors that play into that, which I'll touch on in just a moment. Hybrid and remote working is a thing now where it probably wasn't before. People have relocated and there's various reasons that the needs have changed. We're seeing an all-time high of what we in the industry would call ghosting, which is people dropping out, getting counter offers, just not showing up. That's happening a lot and on a daily basis for me, unfortunately. We're competing with other industries like before. There's a few reasons for that. The pandemic being one of them, Brexit is another, so we're competing with hospitality. We saw an advert the other day for a Pizza Express waitress, which was 16 quid an hour, probably at the level we'd recruit a sales associate at 10. So that's happening. The government also recently put out a piece of data that said over 500,000 people haven't come back to work since COVID for various reasons. So we're in a labour shortage as well, so it's hard. Job boards are geared towards candidates. I won't do a show of hands, but if anyone's familiar with Tinder, it's quite as easy as swiping right at the moment. Sometimes you don't even have to have a CV, so very candidate friendly and not very employer or recruiter friendly. And finally, quite obviously, there's a lot more jobs than there are people to fill them at the moment. So it's tough, essentially. So coming back to why we've done this, is because we want to get a really deeper understanding, or a pulse as we're calling it, of the workforce in this current market. The pandemic, Brexit and return to work have really altered the dynamic here, so we want to give you as much information as possible to make your key people decisions. So ultimately, these insights are to give you the best chance of attraction but also retention of great people. Ooh. It's something we're going to be conducting on an annual basis to see any shifts. Hopefully when we do this next year, the market will be in a better place, but that's our commitment to that as well. And how we did it, we sent this out to our database, which has about 40,000 candidates, LinkedIn connections to our clients, to our job boards, to get a range of responses from people that are either on the market, passive or active. Difference in those, on the market is just people in our industry. Passive is people that might be open to the right job should it come about, and actively job seeking is those that are looking for a new job now. And we had over 600 responses, which for us is a great number. Anything over 500 we deem to be a good sample size to draw some nice data from. So I'm going to take you through the questions we asked. There's 10 in total. I'm not going to go through all of these. There will be a QR code at the end of this, which I'd welcome anyone if interested to download the full copy. But there's 4 in here I want to talk about in a bit more detail in terms of what the survey said and what you can hopefully take away from it today. So the first question I just want to throw out to the audience in terms of any guesses here. So to give you a clue, 75% of our data said that we're looking for one thing specifically. What do you think the highest answer to this question was? So we're looking for a new job. What was their number 1 biggest driver? Any guesses? Salary, yeah, of course. Probably unsurprising. Salary was 75% of our data said that, and then in second, nearly 60% were looking for clear progression opportunities. So what can we do on the back of this? Firstly, you could increase your salary. Yeah, I mean, obvious one, but of course we know that's really not, the answer for everyone. A few people can do that. You would definitely get more applications, but it's not sustainable. When the market does shift, and it will at some point, you've then got a higher salary you have to pay, and again, ultimately, a lot of us can't do that. You're in a luxurious position to be able to do so. So there's a few other things you can do, again, in the current market, outside of just increasing your salary. The first one, salary benchmarking. Do you understand how competitive you actually are? And there's a few things that go with that. So do you understand exactly what you need when you are recruiting? What do you absolutely have as an essential for the job versus what's desirable, and comparing that with your budget and what the market is saying? Have you done that with your current team? How competitive are your salaries in the market with anyone existing? And again, if you need any advice on how to do this, I get asked on a daily basis. Whenever I take a client brief, they ask me, where do I sit in the market? What are my competitors saying? And we can do that, or we can advise on a strategy about how you go about doing a salary benchmarking. So please ask us. The second one I really want to touch on, because I think it's a great one to talk about. 60% of people are looking for progression opportunities. And I guess the first point to say in that is, with an independent gym, it's probably not as clear cut as it is in, say, a pure gym or bigger commercial chain where you'd start and you're a PT, then you're assistant manager, GM, and so on and so forth. It's not as clear cut. Your business is very unique, so it's really important to define what progression looks like for you, because you will have it in some form, right? So it's important for the candidate to understand what that is. So could you put in perhaps a clear pathway with the right performance and KPIs and meeting those to give that person a salary increase? Is that share options? Can you facilitate through personal development courses, like putting back into them? And I'll touch more on that in just a moment. And again, I think the big point for me here is, again, I speak to hundreds of candidates all the time. So active candidates are asking me, yes, this is the job, what is the progression path? But it's also a lot of the reason why people are active in the first place, because they've hit a ceiling, because they don't understand what could be next for them. That's a big reason why they start to look. So again, not just an attraction piece to put that progression path in there, but for your current teams, really understand what that progression looks like for them. Our next question, what are the top 3 benefits that you look for when you're applying for a new role? And our survey said, so flexible working arrangements, absolutely high up there. Again, I think had we done this a few years ago, that would have been quite different. That is a result of the pandemic, I believe. And second in there, and third, annual leave and pension in the top 3 benefits there. So again, what can we take from this? I firstly want to just touch on why we've even asked that question, because I've been in recruitment now for about 5 years, and 5 years ago I never ever was asked the question, what else is in it for me? Now probably about 80% of the time I'm asked, okay, what else? That's my salary, this is the job, this is the company, what are the benefits they offer? So people are asking it. I'd speculate that's a generational movement, but I don't know the answer, but we're getting asked a lot, so it's really important to consider. The second point I think is really important for us to know as a fitness industry is, for most of the time, we can't offer flexible working. We have a 7-day business, it's operational. We can't have a duty manager working from home and lifeguarding a pool. That doesn't work, unfortunately. Sometimes, depending on your business, there might be admin days and bits like that you can do, but for the most part, we can't offer this. Hence why it's really important for us to offer additional benefits to keep competitive in the current market. We can't offer the number one thing people are looking for, so we need to focus on what else. To do this, I think you need to really understand that independent gym owners have, lost my train of thought, you have a real competitive advantage compared to the bigger commercial gym chains. So if I'm working with the larger chains, the likelihood is my benefits are completely set in stone. That goes across the board, depending if I'm a certain age, really young. You guys can really understand your teams, you can speak to them. Benefits cost money, so make sure it's a benefit. If I'm going in there and I'm being offered, I don't know, what I'll say, maybe 20, life insurance probably wasn't that important to me, but an extra annual leave day to go to Ibiza probably would be, but that's just me. So there's a real opportunity here, is all I'm saying, to understand and make a benefit a benefit. The other few examples I want to touch upon are examples that we've seen through independent gym owners we work with, which I think are great. The first one is flexibility. We had one of our independent gym owners that had someone great. He probably was taking a bit of a pay cut to go over to him, but the reason why that person accepted the role is because the owner said to him, hey, you've got kids, you can go pick them up and you can drop them off every day. So because of that setup, he was able to offer that. He got a great candidate, it worked for them both because of that flexibility, and that's something you guys can offer, whereas maybe a David Lloyd probably wouldn't offer something like that. Investment in your team members and through that your business. So is there a skill required in your business you can actually train someone to do, put them through that course, but at the end of it, it's going to benefit you. I have an example of this personally, although it's quite a bad one. I was really interested in HR, Love Recruitment, my boss sat here, very kindly offered to put me through that course. I haven't finished the coursework. I will do it at some point, but that was a real benefit for me. It kept me invested, and actually at the end of it, the result was, or hopefully will be, I can provide that arm for a Love Recruitment as well. So it's giving back to the business. And the final one, I think he actually might be here today, the gentleman that offers this, is just having really high quality and regular training with your team. For me, that's a real benefit. You're consistently giving them that education, that training. We're actually going in for one of our clients soon to do a recruitment session, to train them a bit on that. That's something we're doing for one of our clients for free, but it's helping that team, right? And it's also going to help you guys and your businesses. And annual leave, second highest on there. There is obviously a cost to it because you have to cover your business, but it's quite an easy one to do, and a lot of people are looking for this. Again, when you can't impact things like salary, something like giving someone an extra week off or their birthdays off, it does make a difference, and people are looking for that. Next question. I love this question, or more so the answers, because there's some really easy things to action from this if you're not doing them already. Our survey said, no one's laughing at that. Does anyone get family fortunes? No, don't worry. Thanks, Abby, thank you. So, the two highest by nearly 70%, long application form and no salary on advert. I'll talk about these in just a moment. And again, third on there, 40%, a badly written advert. All of those three things cost nothing apart from your time to correct, and it's going to put people off or incentivize them to apply for your jobs. So, the first 2 points on here probably won't be too surprising. Avoid a long application form. Remember, the applications are like Tinder now. If your application's harder than someone else's, people are going to swipe left and not right and not even go forward and see how amazing you are. Be honest about your salary, include it on your advert. I don't know why people aren't at the moment. At some point, you will have to reveal what you're offering. And we found that 2/3 of our candidates would be uninterested and put off. Our sister company, Love Recruitment, went a bit further with their survey and actually said who would not apply completely, of which 1/3 of people said, I wouldn't. So you're missing out on 2/3 or 1/3 for sure, and 2/3 of people that are immediately put off. So put your salary on there, trust me, it will help. Ooh. And just spend the time putting together a really clear, informative, and more importantly, exciting advert. This part will take you a little bit longer, but again, it's going to have real results. I'm going to talk a little bit about what a great advert I believe should look like. So, section 1, headline figures, and this is things like your title, your location, your salary, of course, but also including things like what we'd call SEO, so search engine optimization. Phrases like fitness jobs, fitness industry jobs, jobs in fitness, actually including your title saying general manager in London. These are phrases people are going onto Google and searching. By including as many of them as possible, and particularly in the first 100 words, you're going to appear higher on Google and you get more applications. So SEO is absolutely your friend. I can't recommend enough to look into it. There are websites you can check out to follow the trends and find out what people are searching in our industry. So keep up with that, it will help. The second section is vitally important. This is selling you, this is your brand, your story, your USBs. If you've got any specific growth plans coming up, talk about them. People want to get excited and they want to know why they want to work for you specifically. So spend the time, get it right, get people excited and want them to go forward. Section 3, what do you need from them? So what are the experiences, the skills, the personality traits required? And also, what is the job itself? So why do you need that experience? What will they be doing on a daily basis? Go into as much detail as possible here. There will be people that will see level 3 personal trainer and they'll ignore it and they're a cook in Timbuktu and apply anyway, but yeah, we have that there for a reason. And the final section, what can you offer the candidate? So think about those benefits we just discussed. What does that look like for your business? And talk about it and get that across. I'm going to take you through an advert example on the back of this. It is one of ours. I'm not saying our adverts are great, but we do this for a day job, so hopefully they're all right. So first section here, account executive in London, who we are, a fantastic fitness industry job. So these two parts are SEO, salaries on there, what we're doing. Next section, that's our story. That is a condensed version of our story. I would say on your website, things like that, have a real extended version of it, but that's why hopefully people will want to read on and apply, or maybe not, which is okay. What the role entails, again, what they'll be doing on a day-to-day basis. And then what we're looking for on the back of that. For us, fitness and leisure industry experience is a must. We don't take on anyone that doesn't have that, but there are other parts in there as well that we would need in order to consider someone. And the final part are our benefits. So we do have the ability to offer hybrid working. We have a great annual leave package. I work for the company, joking. So yeah, we have a great package offer there, and we put it in the advert as well. Our final question I want to talk through in a bit more detail. When researching a company that you're applying for, where are people looking? Does anyone want to have a guess about where people go as number one? Connor? And where? Glassdoor. Okay, we actually thought exactly the same. We thought by far Glassdoor would be the highest. It's actually not. It's the website. So 70% of people are going straight to the website. The second highest answer was LinkedIn, so 60% on there. That's both probably you and your team and your profiles, and if you have a company profile as well, think reviews, think how engaging you are, think your story on there, but the website by far was the highest. And Google reviews actually came up higher than Glassdoor, which we'll talk about in a moment as well. So, firstly, remember for your website, it's not just prospective members that are looking at it. People that want to work for your business are too. So just having, your latest deal, a lead inquiry form, things like that, is probably not going to sell it to someone as much as it could if you've got other information. Include things like testimonies, so from your members and your team. If you've got any you can take from Google reviews, put them on there. Video tours of your facility, clips of you, the owner, why should they work for you, what is your story. Any current vacancies, put them on there. If you have a set recruitment process, step 1, step 2, put that information on there. Blogs, and anytime you've been in the news, links to your social media. What I'm trying to say is there's loads to do there. Make it as interactive as possible, make it as informative as possible, and make it exciting. People are looking on there to see whether they want to apply or continue their interview process with you. So spend time on that. And Google reviews. This was an interesting one for us, and Connor, I completely agree. We thought Glassdoor was going to be the highest on here, and actually it was one of the lowest. So what this says to us is, as important as it is for people to see what ex-staff members are saying about you, they also want to know what your members are saying about you. So if you're going on there, and if I'm looking to work in your business and I've got loads of complaints that aren't responding to, people are telling us that that's putting them off. I had an example recently, and I'm not making this up, someone was at third stage for a pretty senior position. They basically had the offer and they called me up and were on the fence about it. I said, why? And they said, well, I've gone onto Google and I've realised there's some quite shocking things that people are saying. They haven't been responded to. This concerns me about working for them as a business. We managed to sort it out, and actually there was a reason for that. They've changed the team, but it's a live example of this happening. So people care what people are saying about your business. So spend the time. If you don't have a presence on Google, it's appearing high where people are searching, so it's worth getting one, and just making sure there's someone responsible for actively responding to them. And again, coming back to that point there, so remember to audit all of your channels. We say at least on a quarterly basis. Probably worth assigning a person to do this for you. That comes with responding to Google, making sure the website's nice and up to date. Again, that's going to be damaging if it's not. So in summary, I feel like I've spoken really fast, which I tend to do. You've probably got loads of time left. We know it's hard at the moment, you're not alone. We obviously do this for a day job. It's a tough market. What we really say though is we need to be moving towards the problem. It's not going away, and we need teams to fill our business. Start to look at your entire recruitment process from today. If you can, try and implement some of the things that I've just discussed. Complete an audit on things like your salaries, your benefits, your adverts, your website, your Google reviews. Start to do that, make it part of your process. It will help, trust me. And finally, speak to us. We are not scary. We do this for a lot of our key clients on a daily basis. It's not always about recruiting for a job for them. They generally come to us for advice. That salary benchmarking, we do that on a smaller basis, on a wider basis. But we're here, we're in the industry, and recruitment is our job. So we hopefully can give some value to any of these parts, and please feel free to reach out to us if you'd like to. The next part, I'm going to throw over to any questions, and I have also got our QR code here for anyone that does want the full copy of the results. Yeah, question. Any questions? Thanks. Yeah, you should be able to scroll and scan.
I was going to ask something about the part about the job advert was really interesting.
Yeah.
Making the job advert interesting. So I've come across some research around the fact that within that job advert, if you make it sound, when you do the job role, if you make it sound too difficult or too onerous, then it makes certain people put off by the advert, and you actually might be losing out on good candidates potentially. So is there any advice around like setting your job role and job duties?
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that piece of data, but I'd love to read it. I think I'd include as much as possible. I wouldn't overwhelm someone by going into what I would say would be the full job description. That's something afterwards. So it'd be the key elements, and also from your side, so enough that they know what they're applying for, but also so they know what they need to have to apply for it. So you've got kind of a medium balance there, and I'd say what you're saying should be kept probably for a more detailed job description, but don't hide away and shy away from it, because you'll get the wrong people applying or not know what they're applying for.
The research is basically, the summary of it is women always underestimate their abilities and men always overestimate
Really?
their abilities, so you lose half of
Was that something I wrote? I'm joking.
you lose a large part of the job market if you put a too detailed job description.
Really? Okay. Yeah. I think there is a thing is too much, all honesty, especially when you've got jobs like this, like there, but I would still spend the time writing thoroughly and make sure you include what you need to. But interesting, I'd be interested to read that. Yeah, sure.
Sorry, do you mind jumping to the slide that had the benefits?
Yeah, sure.
I know salary was one of the most important things, but the second one.
The results, yeah. Yeah. Benefits. So, is it this one? No. Let me come out of this. Was that it?
Just because you mentioned that somewhere it might not have been that slide, so apologies for sending it.
No, you're good.
Through your right slides, but the additional training is something that obviously was
Yeah.
my area. I was interested in how high that was on the.
Yeah, of course. I'll grab it up for you.
And then what, if as sort of fitness industry specialists, what advice you're giving employers as to the type of training that staff are most interested in?
Yeah.
Is that something that you're having?
Yeah, absolutely. This is freezing me right now, but what I'll do is I'll share the QR code with you to send it through there. I think in all honesty, I thought it might have appeared a little bit higher on this, but we have done other pieces of research. For example, we did a personal training survey last year, where actually it was in the free speech comments, something people were talking about a lot. That was a reason why they'd stay somewhere if they were offered the access to continued progression, so that did appear quite highly. In terms of, I guess, advice on courses, I think again, it depends on your team. There isn't a one size fits all, and it depends on the business, right, and what would be useful to it. There's a lot of different factors. Not specifically, but it's a really good idea, and I think it'd be potentially something good for us to, do moving forward. But we haven't gone into enough detail. It's more just about my experience and who I speak to, which I would say is very specific to that business. Things like HR, marketing, they come up a lot. For any trainers we have, they're quite interested in actually will they offer me skills to make a better trainer and continue that way. But that's just my experience rather than that we've surveyed that. But I did actually think it would appear slightly higher or a higher percentage than it did on here. But I think as well, because we're kind of asking people on the market, what's their highest preference, and I think salary is always going to come probably a bit above that at this stage. But I'll, once this unfreezes, I'll send you through the QR code so you can have that full copy. Yeah, of course.
Do you have much data or insight into candidates that you see repeatedly? For example, they may be secure a role and it's maybe not been as it was as they hoped, or there might be reasons for them dropping out of that role and then looking for something else fairly quickly, particularly with maybe newly qualified PTs.
Yeah. We don't. I think it's quite hard for us to track something like that. I think we have probably what we'd call repeat offenders, where actually it's the same kind of people that are going for roles and they're dropping out, and there's different reasons for that. So I think, we don't have data on it. We see the same people a lot, and I think when it gets to that point for us, we have to make a decision whether to represent someone like that if they're going to go somewhere, drop out, and it's probably more to that person. If it happens on a basis for a client, someone we've placed, we probably give both the candidate and the client that feedback as to why that's happened. And again, when we do place people, we stay in quite close contact, particularly for that first 3 months, to make sure that's not happening, but to track why that is if it does. But we don't have any specific data on it, unfortunately. I think quite often, good question though. Any other questions? Yeah, sure.
Are you quite a London-centric agency, or most of your employers in the London area, or international?
We recruit nationally. Our office is based in London, but actually most of our team are pretty much scattered, but we recruit nationally. I think naturally, because we're fitness, there's a lot of fitness going on in London. A lot of our work is there, but we have the ability to recruit all over, and we do. Yeah. Oops. My boss is sitting there like wanting to ask me a dodgy question, I can tell. Yeah, go on. Thank you guys, thank you so much. I hope I didn't talk too fast, my first time doing this, but if anyone didn't get that QR code and does want it, feel free to reach out to me. I'm on LinkedIn, Maddie Cummings. I will try and get some data to be able to send it out if anyone is interested to discuss it a bit further. Thanks.